This is a checklist for those fitness students that want to be a personal training contractor. So this is some of the things that you'd want to look for when you're approaching fitness clubs looking for work or you're offered work by a fitness club or fitness studio. So the basics of a PT contractor for our purposes here is that you would be someone who's paying a weekly rent to operate your business at a fitness facility or fitness studio. And the following tips are kind of based on my experience. Take or leave what you like, but hopefully it will help you out. But it's not to say that all of this would hold true in all situations. There's certainly going to be exceptions to some of the things I'm about to tell you. But hopefully it makes you a lot more aware of what you're walking into. So first up, be sure to ask for a contract. There needs to be a contract between you and the facility or your friend or the person running this club, and you need to read it line by line. And I know that sounds a bit boring, and even more boring, I'm going to say that you need to tick off each line as you go through this and read it, acknowledging that you understand it. Now, that's not for them, that's for your purpose. And the reason I say that is because quite often there will be things in it that you wouldn't expect. So being new into the industry, you're not going to be aware possibly of some of the norms that may exist around things like being able to train clients outside of that club environment and or within a certain kilometre radius of that club, or to be able to take group fitness classes outside of the club you are contracted to. And you might find that you are not allowed to do any of those things, and that you might have to wear a certain uniform and be there for certain hours or do so many free sessions. There'll be a whole lot of things in it that we may not think at the outset would be to our detriment, and we may be thinking, well, they do this contract for lots of people, they must know what they're up to, lots of other people have signed it, it must be fine. But you must still go through it line by line, I would say, and make sure that it works for you. Because I also think you're in a position where you can negotiate some of these factors. And especially now in the current climate of the industry, you don't just have to agree to everything that's put in front of you. So more about that as we go through. But to explain some common terms to you first up as well, some of these contracts may require you to pay a bond. Now, a bond is something that you're paying upfront, and it could be the equivalent between 1 and 8 weeks rent. And it's an amount that should be written into the contract, together with who is actually going to hold that amount, where it sits, how you get it back, and in what circumstances you will not get it back. So it's not unusual to lose your bond, for instance, if you leave the facility without giving them sufficient notice, or you get behind in rent, or you damage equipment, or you breach another term of the contract. So check what your bond is and check what it provides you, which may be incorporated in what's called an induction or a startup fee. So this might be a couple of $100 to a couple of $1,000. And this will often cover lots of good stuff to help you get started, like your initial training, your uniform, a photo shoot, posters, business cards, registration with the registration body, which is like the Oz Active or Fit Rec or whatever. But you need to ask a list of what's included in that induction or startup fee, as well as whether this amount is charged yearly or just one-off. So that's an important one: bonds, induction, startup fees. Also, get an idea of weekly rental ideas. This is number 3 here. Rents are often comparatively low if you do consider how much it costs to set up a gym. So in other industries, we might be lucky to rent an empty office space in a high rise for the same price, or a chair in a hairdressing salon, or the use of a massage room for a few days a week. So our rents for use in a gym are comparatively low, I think, in terms of what we are being provided. It's not to say that I always agree with the rental structure and that there aren't other ways to do it, because of the amount of benefit that we can offer a club as a personal trainer. But kind of some basics for you, and this is where it's more my opinion than what is set in stone. But I would say if the rental is less than $200 plus GST a week, it probably means you simply get to use the facility premises and the equipment. And there may even be limitations on the times and the days that you have access to it, because this is probably a very low rental fee. And I wouldn't be expecting the facility to provide me with lots of new leads, as in like new clients. Or alternatively, it might be a really basic facility, or even like a mobile business. and that they do provide you with lots of leads because their facility is so basic. So it'll be one or the other, probably. If the rental is $200 or more plus GST a week, and rent is often actually about $300, $400 upwards in Perth a week, I'd generally be looking for a flasher facility with a guaranteed number of leads per week from day one. And by leads, I mean situations where a member is booked in with me by the club in my role as a personal trainer. So not as a gym instructor or a fitness coach on a wage or something, but as a personal trainer for an initial consult, which will then give me the opportunity to show off how fabulous I am and on sell my services. But there's someone I haven't had to source myself. So yeah, if I'm paying that sort of rent, that's what I'm expecting. And leads also include, I should say, when personal training services have been pre-sold by your sales staff of the club. For instance, they may sell 3 sessions with you for $129, and you may get 50% of that, or possibly zero, but usually it would be a percentage of that. And ideally, I would regard that as a real quality lead, as someone who's actually paid money to have sessions with you, even if you're not getting all of that money, it's been paid to the sales staff or the club. As purchasers, they're generally interested in having you as a trainer or a trainer. And 3 sessions is a great amount of time for you to show value and content to what you do. I think one session is challenging to do that, and to then convert off one session is very challenging. So if you could nail out 3 sessions that are pre-sold on your behalf, far more chance you'll get a great hit rate, a conversion rate. So, but if the facility offers all of its members regular, free, or very cheap consults, and they're expecting you to do them, particularly if it's beyond your first 3 months in a club, then I'd want to be paid something for those consults. And it may not be my full personal training rate, or it wouldn't be, but I'd want $25, $30 an hour, whatever, and have my rent discounted if they expect me to keep doing their member consults. So initially in the first 3 months, when it operates as a lead avenue and for me to source and grow my clientele base, that's one thing, and it's of benefit to them, and I would do them for free. But beyond that, and once I'm getting a good client base going, I want to be paid for other work that I do for the club generally. It's not always the way, and it depends. You need to make sure you've got a good conversion process going on, a robust conversion process. Otherwise, it's always going to be of benefit to you to be doing these free leads, because you're going to keep getting clients and losing them. So that's another issue, that whole retention conversion factor. But in terms of the contract with the club, there are a couple of those things I'd be looking for around rent. If the facility wasn't able to offer guaranteed leads per week and they're charging more than $200 a week, I'd be asking for half rent for that first 3 months to build my business, as a suggestion. There's other options here, but I definitely want a cheaper rent. I'd also want the right to bring in non-members to the facility for 2 or more training sessions with me at either a free or very low entry fee, or as part of a free 7-day trial, for instance, that they may offer. But if I can bring in external people to the club for nothing, because traditionally clubs will charge you a casual entry fee on anyone that you bring in to train, so they may have to pay $20 to walk in the door. But if you can have some leeway to bring them in for nothing for a while, for 1 or 2 visits, then you have a chance to make a greater conversion of people that are already in your network. And the win-win for the club is that they may get new members sign up to the club, and they're having you introduce new people in a very non-intimidating, awesome way. So I think that's a real win to be able to do, and something to put to clubs. And you might even bring in, for instance, when our group fitness studio was not being used, I could bring in teams of people, so up to 12 people, to use that studio and give them a session in there. I couldn't do it regularly, but I could do it as a once-off to introduce these people to our club, and our club wouldn't charge me to do that. Again, because there was that return benefit to them, and hopefully helping build my business. So know as well, and I suppose another rent structure is sometimes clubs are charging a per client fee, and so they might charge you on or a per hour fee. So this probably could be a fabulous way to start a personal training business. A facility like that might cap the charges, so you may never pay more than $300 regardless of how much you use the facility or the clients you bring in. But you may just pay, $10 or $20 a client or per hour. So if that's your preferred setup, then there is some industry networking pages, Facebook pages, that I'd suggest you to jump onto in Perth and do a call out for clubs in your area that may do that. I've been surprised at how many will offer that, and I'm not sure if that's because of the state of the industry at the moment, but that has its pros and cons. It's definitely a financially viable way to enter the market. The argument on the other side from the clubs is it doesn't always pressure someone into being successful, to really going out there and building their business, because they kind of don't have to. They don't have that bigger overhead of their rent. I'm not sure how valid an argument that is at the end of the day, but there you go. There's some options on rent. Okay, so that's one aspect to look at. Make sure you look at your contract. So another aspect to take into account here is how much can you actually work. Keep in mind how many hours a week you actually work before signing up to something. If you can only work 10 to 15 hours a week or less, you want to have a part-time contract. But you need to be honest about that with yourself and the club. Don't sign a part-time contract or bargain for that, thinking you can get away with bringing in clients and training them outside of those hours, and essentially ripping a club off. So it's just going to get you a bad name fast in the industry. It's like trying to train anyone in a club without paying the club owner's rent. It will piss off the other trainers that are there, and the club itself. So keep that in mind. But yeah, if you only want to do like 5 hours a week or something like that, then you want to work that in, or at least put the offer on the table to the club owners. Like, don't feel that because they're offering full-time positions and asking a full-time rent, that you can't suggest something different to that. I think most clubs in Perth are chasing trainers, so you never know what may come out of conversations like that. I bet something good would. So anyway, here's a 30-point checklist, and none of these are inherently right or wrong. These are just things I'm going to say that are worth asking. You could always say that your lecturer asked you to ask these if that made you feel more comfortable, but I think it allows you to make an informed decision. I know when I've given these to people before, they've said they felt a bit uncomfortable asking this stuff. But as many as you could ask and get on the table, the better, the more knowledgeable you'll be about what you're going into. So number one, are you ready? Sit back, have your coffee, put your feet up. Is there an office you can use as a personal trainer to take people through your inductions and your consults? So essential stuff. You need somewhere where you can meet people that is private and appropriate. And number two on that same wave, I would say, is what is the induction room like? And is it going to help sell you? Because I have gone into pokey, grey-walled cupboards that are not going to convert anyone. In fact, the majority of induction rooms I see are just shocking. So then the question is, could you dress it up? And by dress it up, I mean, would the manager let you put in some plants, some chairs that people can actually sit on, regardless of what size they are, put up some nice posters and make it all a little bit more inviting, put up your qualifications. That stuff I think is key. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. And I would love to walk into induction rooms and go, this would make someone feel comfortable, apart from just being these pokey grey-walled cupboards. Anyway, so number three, is there a staff room where you could cook your lunch, store your food, your cold drinks? Little thing, but big thing. If you're going to be there all day or at really odd hours, you want to know that you can have a stash of food somewhere. It'll save you a lot of money in the process. And if not, is there a cafe close by? And is that cafe somewhere where you could have off-site meetings anyway? And that's something for you to go and check out. But a good cafe never goes astray. Good healthy cafe is handy. Not a game changer, a deal breaker, but helpful. I would say key for me certainly was there outdoor training possibilities. So was there a park opposite or close by or something? Just because it opens up the realm of the products you can offer massively. Who pays for your uniform? Interesting one. because sometimes you have to wear a uniform and you will have to keep replacing it every time they do a winter version or a summer version or whatever else. So who pays for that? Does it include your shoes? And if it doesn't include your shoes, is there a particular shade or color or style of shoe that they expect you to wear? And do they have a deal with the suppliers of that shoe? Is there a jacket? Can you wear a jacket in winter? Is there long pants and shorts, a name badge, which we all kind of have to have? That's another big thing around helping people in the club feel comfortable around you, is that they know who you are and they can see your name. Again, a little thing, but big thing. Do you need to wear your hair up? Can you wear your uniform when you're not at the facility? So that's, I've bundled that all into number 6, which is all stuff about your uniform. I certainly liked being able to wear my uniform outside the facility because it was just a moving billboard and it had massive words, personal trainer, written on the back. It had the embroidered name of the club on the front of the shirt. And according to a survey I did with hundreds of people, when I said, how would you pick your personal trainer? And I showed them a whole lot of photos. They chose ones that were working at clubs and had the club name on their shirt, even though lots of the other ones were self-employed, very successful trainers. And when I asked them why, they said, well, if a club has employed them, they must be good, which I thought was hilarious in the sense that we know that may not in fact be the case. But nevertheless, a side tangent for you there, having your uniform on is benefit, and being able to wear it elsewhere may be of benefit as well. Like I say, you're a moving billboard. People can ask you questions in the supermarket or the shoe shop and suddenly you found yourself a new client. Anyway, number 7, are there opportunities to take small group training sessions or classes inside your facility, or work the reception, or do some admin work, or pick up some income via another method at that club? So as much as you could get a part-time job working in a pub or a bar or somewhere else, that's not ideal, in the sense that you do want to be staying in the fitness industry if you're trying to grow your business, and even better if you can stay at the club where you are seeking to grow your business. And I think that inevitably leads to a bigger, better business quicker. And whether that's because other staff come on board with you as clients, or they can then recommend you because the receptionists get to know you, so then they recommend you to people walking in the front door. So if you're going to look for more income, looking for more income inside of that club. But ask that at the outset. Would there be opportunities along that front? And number 8, can you personal train, small group train, or take classes at other venues? Could you have a mobile service? So up to you whether you're keen on that idea. I certainly was. Our club allowed it. I know other clubs didn't. Number 9, are gym instructors on site as well? And is their role clearly different from your role as a personal trainer? And does one support and feed into the other? Now, I say that because some people say, we can't have group gym instructors who are paid wages, salaried, in addition to personal trainers that are contracted. The two are in competition and conflict. And I'd say completely not the case. Can be the complete opposite if the club has set it up well. So if the club has set it up so that the gym instructors have a clearly defined job of showing people how to use equipment in the gym, and or adding to that their fitness appraisal, but personal trainers do anything that involves motivation, spending more than just a few minutes with a person is what a personal trainer can do. And for instance, our gym instructors, which I was for 5 years as well, just didn't have that realm open to them. So we couldn't be seen, going, come on, push, do another one, or hanging out with clients for more than just a few minutes to show them how to use stuff. So it worked out really good. All our members at that club got free constant visits with gym instructors, but part of that process was we had KPIs around referring people to our personal trainers. So that was definitely a great funnel. So I warn you about that. Anyway, I don't know how many clubs have that set up, but I thought it was a particularly good one. Number 10, can you talk to other personal trainers that have been there for more than 6 months before you sign up? So that will just give you more insights. And you can't take everything they say as gospel, or that you would hold the same opinions as them. But I still think it's worth talking to a few of them, not one, but possibly a couple, and get their take on it all. Number 11, is the facility located in an in an environment that has a good potential for you. So what is within that 2-kilometer radius? And we've done this in class, looked at that. What is that 6-minute walking radius of the facility? What is a 6-minute drive to the facility? Because I think this is where you recruit most of your members from, most of your clients, unless you're a destination gym. So unless you're the parkour gym or the Olympic weightlifters gym or whatever, you generally, which are unique offerings that people are going to travel to, we are generally chasing those people in that 6-minute radius. So is there good potential for you? If you're trying to train seniors, is there a large senior community? And we've looked at those websites with the demographics in them. And I would say you'd want to go and have a look at those, depending on what your niche market is. Are the bathrooms nice? This is number 12. What a strange one to say. Not. Hot showers, high pressure water, change room with hair dryers and mirrors. Is it always clean? This is as much about your own comfort as your clients, and clients love a good bathroom. And I often think a lot of things can change about a gym, but the bathroom is just essential. And if it's completely crap in terms of high pressure water and some things like that, I think it's going to play out in terms of the retention levels of that club, particularly if they're city-based where people are going straight to work. People are chasing a good bathroom. Food for thought. And it probably doesn't apply to a lot of clubs, but certainly central CBD ones or ones that are located next to workplaces, it would matter quite a lot. Is there somewhere where you can store bikes, or anyone can store bikes, and is it free, or is there easy parking for clients? And I think I mentioned that to my students about that can be the biggest challenge for people when we've surveyed people about their biggest barriers about getting to the gym. And they've said, finding a park is impossible. It just annoys them to the extent that they don't even get in the car and go to the gym. So keep that in mind. You want easy parking for clients and or a place they can store bikes or public transport. Number 14, will you have a locker? You need somewhere to store all your gear safely, locked up safely. Number 15, is it? Can your clients pay using the facilities, EFTPOS terminal and credit card terminal, or which can be very helpful, or do you have your own? And in this day and age, you've probably got Squarespace, or you have payment gateways online. That may not be as such a biggie, but something to keep in mind. Is there an online booking system for you to use? And do you have, probably an online booking system, or do you have to get your own? That's going to be something to nail at the outset. And if there is an additional cost to that online booking system, and you might find as well on that same note is, do they have online fitness appraisal systems, program writing systems? Are they optional, or do you have to use them? And are they any good? So number 17, will the club mention you by name with a photo on their website and with your direct contact details? So in terms of promoting you, that's kind of a biggie. A lot of clubs don't mention who their trainers are, or if they do, they don't do it very well. And the biggest marketing realm you may actually have is them saying that they're going to promote you, that they're going to put a poster up of you in the club. Well, their website's probably searched way more than anything else, and it appeals to far more people than those that are just already training at the club. So being able to have an excellent profile on their website is going to be killer, and to have that mentioned in social media is going to be good. And on that line of thought, number 18 will say is, are you promoting their business brand or yours? So can you be wearing your own brand in conjunction with their brand? Can you have your own name of your own business under their brand? How does that look? And will you be able to post comments on their Facebook page under which brand? Under your personal business brand, or does it have to be under theirs? And would they then have to approve it? And not to say that that's wrong, or that is not a good thing for them to say that, no, well, you can't post on our Facebook page, we do it on your behalf. You then might just want to get some stats around, well, how often will you do that? Will you do that once a month? Will you promote my events? This sort of thing. And do they have a newsletter? Number 20, do they have a newsletter that they're going to send out to members, which you could add articles and promotions to? Very important. If they're saying their members are your potential clients and you have access to them all, then do you have access to them all? And can you have access in that medium? Can you put posters up anywhere around the gym? Number 21. And can they be in any format? Who has to tick them off? How does that look? Because you might get all excited, do a whole bunch of posters, and they go, nah, you cannot put any of these up in the club. So you want to get that kind of done and dusted. And can you charge whatever fees you like? Can you charge $200 an hour? Like, can you have some products that are $300 an hour? Do you have to charge $50 an hour? Whatever else it is, get that out. How does the restraint of trade clause read? That's number 23. This is something we've mentioned at the very start, just around whether you can train people outside of this club or not, and in what format. Number 24, are some exercises you want to do banned or not accepted at your facility? And it's probably impossible to know all the scenarios and to explain those out, but you probably, if they've got a general idea of what type of training they like to see in the club, then you may know whether your type of training, which might be calisthenics or parkour, or who knows, gymnastics, whether they're going to allow some of the stuff that you'd want to do inside that club. So just double check. There may be health and safety reasons around things like going barefoot, standing on Swiss balls, jumping through windows. Okay, number 25, is there an on-site computer program with the flash training programs and reports? Sorry, I have mentioned that one. I whipped that out into another point up there, so there you go. But flash training programs are very helpful, and with more and more technology coming into play, if you have access to them, all the better. Things like some of the equipment we have now, like Techno Gym and stuff, MyZone. Do you have to pay to tap into those programs? Number 26, are there staff meetings, and are you expected to go to them, and who will pay if you do? Great idea, staff meetings, but how often and how long? Number 27, where is the facility going? So I personally think growth is always incredibly appealing, to join a club that is at the beginning of their journey, in essence. Means there's lots of potential to try out lots of new things, and you might get more leeway around your ideas, and people might be more okay with you giving anything a go. But in the same token, there's going to be a lot of growing pains for that club, and that can be quite challenging for all their staff. So otherwise, established entities like the big box gyms, the Good Life, the Revos, the Fitness First, they have tried and tested procedures. They've got it down pat, and what you will walk into is likely a fairly successful support structure, or low cost support structure that they've set up for business reasons. But regardless, it will be quite unalterable. You won't be able to go in there and say, oh, I'd love to, wear all black and do juggling classes each morning, and who knows. Sorry, I shouldn't use that as an example, because maybe they would love that. But you're not going to be able to get as creative as some of you may want, and you can't push back in places like that. Like, I think if you accept a job at a place, know what you're going into and don't fight all their rules. If you find out all their rules beforehand through checklists like this, then you go in with your eyes open, but don't go in and battle with them. Just, you're either at the wrong club and you've got to change clubs. It's like joining a pole dancing club and you're not into pole dancing, you're into baseball. Well, you've gone to the wrong club. Join a different one. So yeah, get the structure. But yeah, I like the idea of clubs that are kicking off, really. Are you all good with how the manager or the owner will engage in dialogue with you? And hopefully you've met this person in the course of being interviewed, because there's going to be times when they're going to have to give you feedback, when things are going to go wrong, things are going to turn to custard, but you want to be able to get along with them. So the manager, I think, is key, or the owner, whoever is going to rule the roost. You want to know that they ride your wave. And it doesn't mean that you're best buddies and you don't have a professional relationship, but you do want to get along with them, or at least respect how they go about communicating and engaging in dialogue with people. So is a facility, number 29, is a facility registered? That may help build your credibility with affiliates like doctors and dietitians and physios and stuff. And that's either registered with IC Reps, the International Reps Organisation, through one entity or the other, or maybe it's ASCA, a strength and conditioning coaching establishment, or a physiotherapy establishment. But if it's registered with a body like that, then I think it definitely gains credibility, and then you do by osmosis by working there. So that's a good thing. Does it provide an environment where you can learn a lot? Now, this is number 30, the last one, and this is something that I've heard lots of students in the past tell me is really important to them. And it's something that we don't ask about at the outset, but we should, because it does become such an important winning piece in the jigsaw of why we stay at a place. And that could be learning a lot by virtue of there's other people in the club to learn from. So there's other excellent qualified trainers and staff, but do they have maybe ongoing education in-house? And is that structured? So is that every 2 months? Or do they send you on a yearly fitness conference? Or do they subscribe you to a yearly strength and conditioning journal? And if they want you to be the assistant manager of this club, do they have in-house training around sales and marketing and support structures for you to do that, and in-house training for that? So it is probably one of the things that I know people that stay at clubs absolutely rave about. Is one of the reasons they stay there. And it is also one of the things where clubs can be quite vague about, at least over here in Australia, I found quite vague about the level of support they will offer staff. They often say, yes, I'll give them all the support they need, but there's nothing kind of structured in there. And that's what keeps us excited and passionate about our job. We all want to bring our clients more and more results. And to do that, it's about learning more and more through mentoring, coaching, courses, things like that. And that's the gold piece in the jigsaw. So anyway, that's a long list, and I might set up a Kahoot quiz about some of that now. But all the very best. I hope that has helped, and yeah, good luck with it all.